Alrighty, welcome to That's the Thing, everybody. I'm your host, Lawler. With me, Johnny Boy, and now Quinn the Landboy Lobdell, as you guys know, is a weekly guest, and not a guest. He's a co-host now. He's joining us. So, for those that are unaware, That's the Thing is a weekly podcast where we discuss imperative topics in the Rocket League community. Each week, we are joined by a special guest. We dive into the latest news, juicy gossip, all while keeping a serious, lighthearted atmosphere. We always focus on the community content and live Q&A because at the end of the day, that is the thing. So please, if you guys can, save questions till the end of the show. When we do like our community rising star stuff, I will bring that up again, and then you guys can start asking questions while we're showing the community content. So it's an easy way to do it. But starting off this week, we're going to be talking about two things. First and foremost, we're going to talk about the recalibration. There were some changes made in the rank system with a patch that came out a couple days ago. A lot of people are happy, a lot of people are upset. It's kind of a back and forth, so we'll get into that. And then to end it, we are going to talk about online versus LAN mentality with one of the onliners himself, Sadjunior. You guys know him and love him from Kings of Urban, but they're now picked up by Energy Esports, owned by Shaquille O'Neal. So pretty crazy. We get to talk to him about why they beamed it at the LAN, pretty much. So it'll be cool to hear about him and kind of get some questions on the inside info of him and what he has thoughts about. But first and foremost, we're going to start with that first topic, ranked recalibration. So if I can direct this towards Johnny Boy. Johnny, what brought about the change of ranked recalibration? What happened? Kind of give people an overview of what's going on. Unmute yourself.
Yes, that is a good idea. So what actually happened is that Psionics, they did the season reset, of course, way back at the start of season 3. Everybody was climbing for a bit, and then at some point, everybody just stopped climbing short of the champion ranks, short of Grand Champion, especially in solo standard and standard, the less populated playlists. So what they've done is the hidden rating is exactly the same. The number that represents your skill relative to other players has not changed, but the visible rank distribution has changed. So there are more Grand Champions, more Super Champions, more Champions, more of every of the star rank, and I think that everything at the lower end has decreased. So it's like just shuffled everybody up a little bit. So, and for people who have said that they don't, a lot of people are saying stuff like, I don't feel like I've earned my rank and stuff like, I worked so hard to get Grand Champion. Now everybody is Grand Champion, so we'll obviously talk about these issues, try and get into the perspective of as many people as possible, and also looking at some other games and their rank distributions to compare. But yeah, that's the short story, is that there are now more people at all of the higher ranks and less people at the lower ranks. It's just shuffled everybody up there. I don't think I didn't dab, did I? Hello?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Wait, Lawler, have you muted or something? What has Lawler done?
Yeah, Lawler went away.
Oh, he's gone. What? Oh,
He left us.
Sorry about that. I had a cough coming on. There's like, my throat was like, you don't want to talk right now. So I'm like, right back. Bye, guys.
That's the
like,
downside. I couldn't see your face cam. I had no idea you'd gone.
I was gone. I messaged you. It didn't go well, but I messaged you.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. Okay, Lawler's back. We're fine.
Welcome back, Lawler.
Where
thank you.
With it?
I was never gone, man. This is an audio only show. Nobody knows I was gone.
You're always here in my heart, man.
Oh, wow, dude. That feels, man. Thank you for that moral support and sexual support. I feel it. All right. That's better. So yeah, pretty cool stuff that went down. I guess the question I have for Quinn to kind of segue into that is, do you think it was the right choice? Like, do you think the way they went about it was correct?
Okay, I think that they definitely needed to redistribute the ranks somehow. I mean, there was a certain point where no matter how good you were, right, it came like just being online at a certain time with other people at similar ranks, or if not higher ranks than you, was a requirement to rank up. And that's just not really, I mean, it sucks that no matter how many games you play, like you need to win like 10, 15 games, like 1 or 2 losses to be able to actually have some sort of improvement shown through your rank. It just sucks, dude. Sucks, dude. So I think it was right. I think that people are kind of freaking out right now because so many people got boosted to Grand Champ. I think a lot of people also forget how many people were Grand Champ in season 2. And right now, I mean, just the fact that it was so difficult to get champion, whatever. It was just like not working. I'm expecting them maybe to do, excuse me, another adjustment. Maybe not actually just push people down, but increase the rank requirement for champion or grand champion. So
Right.
I think they're still going to be fine tuning a little bit, but I think it was a good idea.
Okay, now I'm glad you bring that up. So you feel like a lot of people are boosted, and people don't understand that like the whole concept of redistribution is you are put to the rank in this bell curve where they thought you were going to be anyway. That's where you were supposed to be in the first part. Like all these people that were super, super champion or champion before the rank redistribution even happened, technically would have been upper champions, grand champions anyway. It's just once you hit a certain point, there was no points to gain. You couldn't get to that point. So you're where you're supposed to be. It's just a matter of it wasn't achievable beforehand because of the way that the point system was carrying out. Plus, as you hitting in that higher rank, and I know Quinn, you talk about that, like the queue times and stuff like that. It was a pain in the ass. Like it sucked. Like you'd have to wait for quite a while for games, and even then, you still probably wouldn't get one until a good 5-10 minutes. Sometimes more, sometimes less. So, do you think, like, in improvement wise, do you think they still need to go further? Do you guys think? And we'll start with Johnny on the first answer for that. Do you feel as if there needs to be another tier above for just that top tier, just that 0.1% or whatever it is?
Well, there's a couple of solutions that could work. I mean, it's hard to say what the perfect system is until you try it, and that's what Psyonix are doing. They're testing new systems and trying out new things to see what people think of it, to see how it actually works in practice. One of them is what CSGO do, where you have that elite tier that people have to qualify to, and that's I don't know what it's called. One of you guys probably know. Every time that they queue up, you actually get only the people who are qualified for this tier. And that could work as like it refreshes weekly or bi-weekly, and you have to make it into a certain rating gap at the top. And when you queue, you only play people in that rating distribution, never people outside of it. And there's obviously downsides to that because the people just outside won't get to play with the pros if all the pros are in the upper echelon. But the upside is that the pros get better practice, which is obviously a good thing. The pros are more likely to stream their gameplay because they're going to enjoy the games. So in the overall grand scheme of things, it's probably a good thing. But like I said, hard to know until we see it in practice. Alternatively, and this is the thing that I've been pushing, or saying that what I would do if I was in charge is I would just increase the amount of people that are visible on the leaderboards. Right now, it's a top 100, and that has not changed since the game came out. It's been top 100 the whole time, and in the beginning that was fine. That was enough when Rocket League first launched because there weren't as many players as there are now. But now there's vastly more players than there were at the beginning, and it's still only a top 100. And I feel like it should be extended to maybe 500, maybe slightly less, maybe slightly more. And at the end of any given game, when you win or lose, I feel like you could get the grand champion symbol with your rank in it, like just the number. So it's like grand champion 356 if that's your rank, and then you win a game and it goes up to grand champ 330 because that plus 4. Yeah, exactly. Because winning plus 4 points or plus 5 points and then losing 10 feels bad. But if you show people, hey, with that plus 4, you actually leapfrogged 5 people. You've climbed past 5 other people in Grand Champion. That's a lot bigger achievement than plus 4. You think plus 4 points, well, no big deal. Oh, I just leapfrogged 5 or 6 people in the ranks, maybe even more, because you know how close it can be in these ranks, like 10 people in the exact same score. You win one game, you go past them all. That's a much better feeling, I think, than just getting, plus 4 points on a system that you can't even see because it's behind this Grand Champion symbol that never changes.
Yeah. Now League of Legends does this as well with an LP based system. They call them league points, to where you hit a certain rank, and once you get to that top tier rank or that top 100 in their case, you then just keep accumulating points until you go up and up and up. If you grind it out, you play a bunch of games, awesome. You build a buffer. You get to sit above if you really grind it out, and it incentivizes being the top. So I think a lot of people agree that there needs to be kind of incentive based. What benefits do I have other than being on the leaderboards, which is just people wanting more, which is never a bad thing. You have players that are hungry, that want to prove something or work towards something. So implementing a system might be beneficial for that. The other thing that's been talked about is now most pros play in doubles. Doubles is the highest queued. There's on average roughly about 20,000 at any given time. And then ones is non-existent pretty much. everybody hates solo standard because of the right reasons, and then just solo in general, or standard in general, I should say, is here and there, but you don't see it as much. But doubles is kind of the big one, and they implemented in their post. They basically stated that there's now tier thresholds where they're configured to, based upon what queue you're in, there's certain requirements to hit that next rank. 2's rank to get champion is different than 1's rank to hit champion, or I should say grand champion. Do you think that, Quinn, do you think that's like a good idea? Do you think they should continue with that?
Yeah, I think it has to be, because if less people are playing, well, the only issue I see is that if somebody doesn't play, like if there's a really unpopular playlist, for example, then the rank requirement to get grand champ, that's going to be super low. But fair enough, I think it should be relative to everybody else's rank.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it should be like a MMO or something where it's like you literally play this many games, win this many games, you get grand champ. It's like a level or something. I think it has to be relative to everyone else's performance. So if somebody else is really pushing hard in a certain playlist and you want to, like, and other people start picking up that playlist as well, I think it should be more difficult as a result of more people playing that playlist, as people getting better, high ranked, etc.
Mm-hmm.
It's more just that, yeah.
Yeah, Johnny, do you agree? I mean, do you?
Yeah, I agree. I think that it should be having it as a percentage thing is fine. And I did reference earlier that we'd compare this to other games, and somebody made a really good Reddit post. I don't have a link to it. Maybe somebody can find it in the chat, where it showed the different rank distributions in other games. So CS:GO is like the very top rank is 1% of players, and in League of Legends it's like 0.01%, and StarCraft 2 it's like 0.5%. There was a whole bunch of them. Hearthstone, there's 0.5%. And the original, what they had before with Rocket League, but right before this reset that just happened, made Rocket League the most difficult game to get to the very top. Grand Champion in Rocket League was a smaller percentage than any other like major competitive game title, which is, that kind of shows you how exclusive it was, which is maybe a little bit too exclusive. And that, yeah, I can definitely get behind what Quinn's saying, that having it as a percentage of or a percentage thing is definitely fine. Right. Definitely fine in my opinion.
Okay. So now in the rank system, you see the highest concentrated amount of players were anywhere in between like Challenger 2 all the way till about Shooting Star, I would say, is where a majority of the players kind of leaned on, and they just kind of shifted all those players up. Prospect only went up, like if they won their game, they went up maybe like half a rank. Challenger went up maybe like a rank and a half. People in Shooting Star and stuff went up like 2.5 roughly, and it kind of balanced that out. But like you mentioned, like it was definitely like an exclusive club. Do you guys feel like that's why the people that were already there are kind of, I guess, salty about it, per se, for lack of a better word?
I can see that. You know, people are just disappointed because they're like, they feel really good about themselves if you're grand champion. If it's super hard to get and you've got it, that, you know, must make you feel pretty good. And then once it's just given to a lot of other people because of the rank redistribution, they're inevitably going to feel bad. And that's why we need to also make more changes. Like, these changes are fine as long as there are also more changes to give the very, very top players something to compete for, because the top 100 leaderboard doesn't really do that, especially when you win a game and then you go to the leaderboard and it hasn't even changed. You're like, but I want to see, have I moved up? Have I moved down? Where am I? Trying to remember what did the numbers say in the game before you left the lobby, and then you're going back and forward. The leaderboard is just not accessible enough. It's not in their faces enough. If it just showed your rank at the end of the game, I think it would fix that. I mean, people are always going to complain. Yeah. People are always going to complain. Everybody's got an idea in their head of what a grand champion should play like, and then when it, Psionics change the amount of players that are a grand champion, obviously the average grand champion is now worse than it used to be. So some people are going to say, "Oh, this is a travesty. Grand champions back in my day, they used to be able to do air dribbles off the wall. Now look at this guy. He's a grand champion and he can't even do a ground shot." It's hilarious. People have completely changed their mind, gone 180 on it.
Which is weird, because even people in like Challenger and stuff now are starting to do like air carries off the wall and stuff. Like, yeah, it's because the entire skill gap of the community has gotten better. I mean, you see stuff that we used to lose our minds over is like, oh yeah, that's easily defended, just jump up and hit it. you know. And back then, you didn't see challengers hitting aerials, and if they did, they weren't on target. They weren't in position. It was bad, and you're starting to see that overall community get better. So it's like, do we need to adapt to the times changing? You know, people are starting to get slowly better. Do we need to start implementing stuff to keep progressing? What that is, I have no idea. Cynix can worry about that, luckily. But I mean, overall, I mean, you look at those graphs and stuff, and it still seems pretty evenly spread. I mean, you know, Prospect has a decent amount. Majority is in the middle, and Challenger. It's just when you get further down, now there isn't, you know, 0.02% in Super Champion. There's 0.2% in Grand Champion. So it's like, it's still quite a big fluctuation of change. It's just a matter of it. I think late game, and I'm sure Quinn, since you are in that level and you play at that higher tier, do you feel it's better now that you have more people to play with?
I mean, I think it's just an upgrade all around. To be quite frank with you, Helen, 1 second, I'll be right back.
I can see it as an upgrade though, because more people are going to play. If you remember way back at the start of the season, everybody's climbing, everybody's loving it, everybody's playing ranked, even solo standard people are playing it. So anything that makes more people play is great. Oh, did Quinn just?
Yeah, I'm just happy he's wearing pants. Like,
he's wearing pants. That's good. Walked away, show some ass. Yeah.
You know, it'd be the best show if that actually happened. You're just like, I'll be right back.
Twitch fails top of the subreddit.
Gets his camera finally for the stream, and that's the first thing he does. Thanks, Quinn. But yeah, I mean,
there just has to be more incentive for people to play high-ranked solo queue and team queue, and stream high-ranked solo queue and stream queue or team queue. And I think that solo standard is just like, in my experience, I've never played solo standard and had fun, and I've never watched somebody play solo standard and think that they're having fun, nor have I had fun as if you were watching them, if you know what I mean. Like, it just, I don't know. Solo standard, go. Why does solo standard still exist? It's such a waste of time, in my opinion. Just get rid of it. Make solo doubles instead, or rumble.
I agree.
Competitive.
Yeah,
solo standard is just rubbish.
It's rough. And I used to queue solo standard just because I wanted to hit a certain point.
Yeah.
And now that I've hit
a blue rank, you're like, oh, easy, blue rank achieved. I'm never playing it again.
Right, and that's basically how it is. And now that also brings me to believe, do you guys think there should be a decay system now?
I think it should always have been a decay system.
Yes. Isn't there one?
No. There is, but not in the sense. Okay, so the decay system that is in place now is like, the decay system is like, if you go idle for so much time, you have to play a couple games to regain your rank. The way that most of the plays, what I mean by decay, is like, if you don't play for X amount of time, you get a warning. If then you still don't play after that time, you then slowly keep losing points, and that snowballs. So the first week you lose 10 points a day. Second week you lose 20 points a day, and it just keeps compiling until to a point where you just tank your rating, and you got to climb back all those points. You still keep your MMR, you're still gonna climb at a higher rate, but you have to climb back. It makes so those high level queues stay active, because there is a lot of people who want to just hit a certain rank and then they just don't play at all. Ideally, and I'll ask Quinn, what would your ideal decay system be?
I think that the higher you are, the higher ranking you are,
the harder you fall. Oh no, that's not what you're trying to say. Never mind.
No, I think that it should kick in relatively sooner. Right? It's gonna be, if somebody's not ready, not playing very much, I think it'd be pretty stupid if like they were low ranked and they were still getting their rank decayed very quickly. But I think if you want to be able to say I'm number one, right? Like, you should be actively maintaining that. So I think it should decay probably sometime around, like, I don't know, you need to play, let's say, in a month or every 2 weeks, we'll say, like, you need to play at least 5 games. Otherwise, as far as like MMR goes, honestly, I would need the numbers of like exactly where the cutoffs are and everything to be able to make you an ideal decay system. But I think if you haven't played more than 10 games in like 2 or 3 weeks, like, you should begin to be dropping off, and maybe drop off slowly at first, but then kind of kick it up. Like, okay, this guy's not even playing his account. It's an alt. Like, make that shit decay, yo.
What do you guys think about just flipping it entirely? So instead of having Because right now, the way it works is somebody hits rank 1, they stop playing because they're like, job done, I'm rank 1, end of the run. I'm waiting until somebody gets past me. And then eventually, if nobody gets past them, they might get bored and play again. That's the only way that somebody's going to play at rank 1 is because they're bored of being rank 1 for so long. Why not give some incentive for people to win games at rank 1? You know? I don't know what that would be. It's just a thought that I had. Like, why is there all of this talk of, oh yeah, people who don't play need to be punished? Why don't we flip it around and say people who do play need to be rewarded? And right now there's the crate system, or you get random crates for winning games. But what about if there was something like you got an achievement for the amount of games that you won while being rank 1, while being top 10, while being top 100, and that shows up in your profile? That would give your profile some value. You think this is, this is an achievement I got. I won this many games at rank 1 or at a certain high level. I think that would be pretty cool. Just like rewarding people for actually playing while being high ranked instead of decaying people who don't play. Because we want to see people play. And like punishing them for not playing is not. I don't think it's the right way of doing it. Although decay is necessary to some degree, but yeah,
Right.
I think
Right.
there's got to be another way of doing it as well.
Yeah, I mean, you see the incentives like the season rewards at the end. You saw how many people found out like, if I hit champion, I get this boost that others don't get. I get all the previous ones. Like, there needs to be incentives throughout the season, I think. You need to go in with a mindset of knowing there's going to be something. And I think we all know that there's going to be some sort of reward at the end of the season for a certain rank. But you even look at, we also just got a host. One sec.
Thank you for the host.
Thank you for the host, Stable. I'm going to
2
turn
hosts
that
in a
off.
row. Get some hype up in the chat.
I'm going to go
the
turn that
second
off
host.
because I know how stream and how Twitch works. And once one of you do it, the rest of you will have a field day. So, hold on. One sec, guys. I'm just going to edit this out anyway. So, thank you for the host, though. Everybody. Yourself too, Johnny.
Oh, you're welcome, man.
Okay.
You're so nice thanking me.
No
I've
problem.
never been thanked before.
All right, so back to it.
Quick, everybody host.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody do it quick before you go. Yeah, that's usually what happens. But yeah, so like if you look at League of Legends, like I pull up their FAQ and like quote, if you're on platinum or diamond, so it is for specific tiers and above. After 28 days of inactivity in a particular rank queue, a couple things will happen. First, you'll be hidden from the standings in your league. You will also lose your points depending on your current tier. Every 7 days thereafter, you'll use LP until you play a match in that queue. Higher tier players, so like our grand champions, lose 50 LP. These players lose 35. So based upon what tier you're at, the higher the tier, you do lose more points, which makes sense. I think that works really well. If you're in a tier even higher than that, if you're in their master and challenger tier, which is I think something we need to do. I think we need to have another tier above for that very top level, personally. But you can bank up points, and then if for each day that you're not playing, it takes up those banked points. So like, hey, I'm going on vacation, I'm going to TwitchCon, whatever, I can play a ton before I go anyway, bank up those points, and then if I leave for a certain period of time, it's not a big deal.
Well, that's essentially an average.
Yeah, which makes sense. It's smart. And then if you hit kind of like our challenger, you do not decay, no matter what. Which makes sense. I mean, unless you're in that top tier, I don't think you should. I mean, if you can achieve a typical level, which I think is usually your average player base, which for us is challenger, I honestly don't think you should.
Well,
so,
isn't that the exact same situation they have now where you get to the top and then you don't have to play?
well, yeah, it's at the top, but I don't feel challenger is the top. It's not even close.
Right, but I mean, isn't the whole issue with decay that people are getting to the top and they're the ones who you need to like have higher ranked so that you can begin to get more points so that you can begin to rank up as well? Like, if they're not decaying,
Right,
I mean,
and that's anybody who is so their system
they
is
just never
bronze.
have to play, for instance.
Their system is bronze, silver, gold, and then plat, diamond, master, challenger. Anything plat and above decays, and the higher you are up, the more it decays. And the only way you can bank up those points is if you play a lot.
Well, I think if you want to be able to say you're at the top, I mean, you have to be able to say it over time, and like
Right.
the only way to prove that is
By being consistent
playing.
and playing. Yeah. And that's how they do it. So I mean, it's a cool idea. It's something that definitely consider. But overall, the rank redistribution, I think it's a good idea. It works out. I think
Yeah.
we can all agree it was for the better. People just need to get over that mentality of, you don't belong here, when in reality they would have been there anyway. Um, it's just a matter of the grand champions. Like, if you don't belong in grand champion, you're gonna lose games. It'll balance itself
Dude,
out.
when I get Grand Champion, Marky Dude is gonna kill himself. I'm telling you right now. He's actually gonna kill himself. Coming into it just to make him KMS. He's gonna hate life. He's got he's got the most elite view on who should and shouldn't be a Grand Champion of anyone I've ever met. It's great. So I'm gonna break his heart. Get GC just for him.
What's up, Sad? How you doing, buddy?
What up? What up?
The Shack boy.
Yeah, I've upgraded from LAN boy to Shack boy.
You mean from online or?
Sad O'Neal.
All right. So to kind of give you an idea, we just went over ranked recalibration and all that kind of stuff. We're moving on to our second topic, everybody. For That's the Thing, week 16. We've got Sadjunior on the line. How you doing, Sad?
Hello, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Doing pretty good, man. How's it been going through week play and all that kind of stuff? You hanging in there?
Yeah, it's been fun.
Nice getting paid per every game, right?
Aside from mid-season mayhem, I'd say it's been pretty good.
You guys have been really disappointed that Mid-Season Mayhem didn't contain any hoops games after your recent acquisition to NRG.
Yeah,
You guys would have crushed it.
That's literally why we lost.
Yeah. Well, you guys are just practicing hoops all day. As part of their contract now, they have to play hoops.
We were
6
practicing hoops with Rumble all day, every day.
That'd actually be a lot of fun. If you guys haven't done that, check it out. But for those that are unaware, Sadjunior is one of the players for Team Energy. They are one of the best online teams in North America. They've been crushing it every single week for the past 6 months, I guess we could all say. You guys took second qual season 1, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so that feels good. And then something happened at LAN that we'll get into eventually, just to kind of salt the wound a little bit. But Johnny, I know you got a couple questions for him right away if you want to kind of start us off.
Yeah, so firstly, before we go back in time and get a little bit of a backstory to Sad Junior, I want to know, Sad, how do you feel about yesterday's 4-1 demolition of the USA? How did you feel? What are your thoughts about that matchup?
Well, now I know why North America is so bad compared to Europe. Must be USA.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I did a USA Canada show match on my stream, and USA got absolutely beamed 4-1. Sad Junior was playing with Squishy Muffins and Lachinio against Garrett G, Jacob, and Gambit. And USA took game 1, but that's the only game they did take. They lost 4 in a row. And I believe one of the games was 5-0. And I think Canada scored at one point between games 2, 3, and 4. They scored 12 goals consecutively. So pretty one-sided, I would say. What do you think about that actual roster that you played with, though? Squishy and Latch. Have you played with them before? Or was that the first time you guys did threes?
Actually, that was the first time I've ever played with Squishy on a team. And I think with Lachinio, I've played a few twos with him before. Maybe five amount of games. That's it. And that was still 1 year ago. So
and it went pretty good, I would say.
It went really well.
Expected to go that well when you bring all of you guys together.
At first I expected all of us to try to get all the goals and stuff and be in each other's way.
Yeah.
I decided I'm gonna play a bit more slow and stay back rather than go for goals.
So that was your role, just playing a bit defensive, let the
defensive and just go around demoing people.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Do you?
So
do you enjoy that?
That was exciting.
Do you enjoy the ability to play with other teams? Does it help you any? Is there any benefits to it?
Yeah. There's benefits to it. You get an understanding of how to play around your teammates a bit more. So it's it's a better version of solo standard, in my opinion, because you actually have good teammates, but they have different play styles, and so you learn how to play around them.
Do you think it gives you a leg up when you guys play them later, Like if you guys have to play against some teams, I mean, you guys generally know each other's playstyles because you've been playing
Yeah,
each other for
yeah.
so long. But I mean, when you actually get to be on their team and hear them out, do you think that helps?
Yeah, when you're able to learn how someone plays, it's very effective when you're playing against them. Very, very effective when you're playing against them because then you know their habits and how they maneuver around the arena.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Good to see that you're out competing in other stuff that is not just the RLCS. It's always cool to see you guys out there. But we're going to go back in time, as Johnny mentioned, kind of bring you back. Take us back to kind of like your start of Rocket League all the way up until you were on iBuyPower. Or where I should say Cosmic Aftershock there before iBuyPower.
Oh, it's pretty far back.
Yeah, you can do it real brief. Don't worry about it.
Wait, so you just want me to talk about it? Like,
Yeah, it'd be like, I got into Rocket League by doing this. I played for this. I eventually found out I didn't suck, so I joined this team, stuff like that.
So I got into the first game, Supersonic Acrobatic Rock'n'Roll Battle Cars, like seven or 8 years ago.
We're actually coming up on 9.
I played the demo for like 3 months before I could convince my parents to buy me the game.
How old were you?
I don't even remember. It was like 10 or something.
Jeez.
And it was the only game I played other than Little Big Planet. It was the only game I played on PS3.
Little Big Planet.
Yeah, it was,
Okay.
hey, come on.
No, it's a good game. Good choice.
Yeah. I didn't have the best PC, so the only thing I could play on PC was, I think, RuneScape at most. So yeah, I played nothing but SARP, and then my PS3 kind of crashed, freaking yellow light. So I was 1 year without PS3, played nothing but RuneScape. Then got a new PS3 for like Christmas, I think, because Boxing Day, and it was pretty cheap. And yeah, and then the alpha came out around the same time. And I was like, whoa, what is this? And I was pretty excited. I jumped straight in, and they let me in, even though I had a shit computer. I was pretty fortunate. And then
Was
I
it like
played.
limited? The
Yes.
Yeah, Alpha
as far as
invites
like
were.
as far as all the people who are in the beta or not in beta, sorry, people who played SARP, right? If they
Yeah.
really played SARP, they still didn't really care.
Well, it was only posted on the forums, so anyone who played,
Mhm.
only people who played SARP,
People
knew
who were
about
active in the
first,
community.
Yeah. The first wave of alpha was extremely closed. It was like a handful of people, and I was fortunate enough to get in the first wave. There's like, I don't know, like 50 people maybe, or maybe 100 at max.
Okay.
And they did it in waves, like EU servers, then US servers at a certain time during the day. So it was very, very limited. And as soon as we got in, the first set of mechanics weren't the best. The ball was kind of heavy. Cars were kind of slow. So we didn't enjoy it as much, but I was like, oh, maybe it's just because it has different mechanics. It'll get better over time when we get better at the game. And once they changed the physics a bit, I was instantly hooked once they got to like a certain point where it got just the right amount of speed. And I put in like 500 hours into the alpha, even though it lasted like a few months.
Oh my god.
Holy
I put in
cow.
500 hours.
So you
And
pretty much channeled your inner findable carpet and just went in. Like,
yeah,
That's crazy, though.
I put in a lot of hours into the alpha.
well,
It was-
it's interesting because there's a lot, like you said, like initially when that first came out, the physics were different. A lot of people didn't like it. They felt, just like you said, it was a little bit too heavy. The cars were slower, and
Yeah.
and the fact that you still stuck with it, like, really shows how much you really enjoyed the game.
I was just excited because it was a fresh start. It was like we're all starting from square one basically, and well, sort of square one basically, since we all have similar experiences in the past. But anything like you did, like delayed flips or whatever like that, it was extremely rare to see. Like delayed flips didn't see any play until like later during the alpha. People still use like quick flips because you could only flip quickly in the previous game, and it became like it was amazing. Like all the shit you could do. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, I don't care. Go ahead. Worst case, I just edited it out. It's
Have you
fine.
not heard what Lawler calls his subs?
Yeah, like you're good, man.
So all the shit you could do was like insane because
Just go straight back to it. He's like, "Can I say it?" Yeah, I'm saying it again. Like,
Oh, it feels good. I feel empowered. I'm so edgy. What were you saying?
So, like, the one thing I missed during SARP, because I played the demo for so long, was in the beginning, people learning how to actually do aerials, because aerials weren't a thing. I don't think there was any tutorials or accurate tutorials.
There are no Jazer
And,
tutorials.
No,
I remember
no.
Rocket League Academy had a tutorial on how to aerial. That's how I learned
Yeah.
when the game actually came out.
We didn't have anything like that. No one made videos at the starting. The only video person I knew was Fisho Kid. Fisho Kid's videos were the only ones I watched at the time, and he was actually, I think he was the first person to ever do a reverse aerial, and everyone thought that was insane. And some people thought no one would ever use
I heard this.
a maneuver like that,
yeah,
but literally everyone uses it now in competitive.
Mm-hmm.
right. It's also crazy knowing that like you learned primarily upside down, like for your aerials.
Yeah,
I know Lichinio is the same way.
It's not the best habit, but it's good when it needs to be.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, Sadjunior, they actually hang from like a bat when they're playing Rocket League. They play upside down. And that's why they're so
Too
good.
much. So
That's why Lichinio is so bad on stream, because he has to sit normally and he can't play as well as he usually does when he's actually looking at everything upside down. That's why he's so good at upside down aerials.
Quinn.
It's like
Yeah.
crazy
Upside down.
sex swing setup or some shit to hold him upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quinn, how do you
Hanging
feel?
off the ceiling.
Quinn, how do you feel about being upside down?
Oh, don't even trigger me like that. You guys have no idea. Oh,
I'll play it at the end. I'll play it at the end. There's a song me and Quinn played in this alpha game, like from it was like a MOBA that wasn't supposed to be a MOBA, and there's like a song that just triggers us both because there's like an in-game jukebox and people pay money just to play that one song. It's like this other song starts to
People
play on the
pay
radio.
actual money just to skip it over and over and over.
You're in the lobby and you just have to hear that damn song over again. It's so bad.
We have to
3
hear it
hours
later.
of it, man. 3 hours of it. Remind me at the
Oh,
end.
man.
Remind me at the end. I'll play that stupid song. Oh my god.
Can you not? No, I'll remind you. I'll remind you. I got you.
All right, sounds good. But, yeah,
All right,
so,
so
moving on. Go to like so you finally get through SARP. SARP's awesome. You get through the betas, the alphas, etc. Everything's going good. How'd you start getting into like competitive and stuff? And then like who was your first team? Kind of bring them through. I know you also played with Quinn for a little bit.
yeah. Okay, so when I first got into competitive was near the end of SARP actually. I never touched any of the tournaments. I didn't hang around the forums because I didn't like any of the people. But eventually I got into a few tournaments. I actually won the first tournament I signed up for in SARP, which was a good feeling. And I enjoyed the feeling, so I thought maybe when Rocket League would come out, I'd get into competitive as much as I could. And in the alpha, they had this 1v1 league, which kept us pretty occupied during it. And I don't remember what place I was, but I did pretty good. I think I got first or second. I got this like gold name on the forums. That's literally what we played for, gold names on the forums. And everyone just wanted that gold name, you know?
Right.
So that kept
But
us,
is that any different from now? People just want gold titles instead of gold names. It's like the same thing.
it's the same thing, but now there's actual money. Before there wasn't any money.
Yeah.
Which
Which is gonna be crazy for you to, have this game that you've been playing since you were 10, and now you're playing under an organization owned by Shaquille O'Neal. Like, think about
Yes.
that. Like, take that into fact for a second. Like, that's gotta be insane. Like, to be a 10-year-old and be like, yeah, I like this game. It's fun. My PlayStation breaks. Finally get a new one, and now I'm able to play it. At a pro level, earn a decent amount of money, and be on
You
an
can be a
org.
Shaq boy.
Yeah, you're now a Shaq boy. You've
Shaq
upgraded from
boy.
LAN boy,
Oh
dude.
my.
That's crazy.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy. Like if you look back 2 years ago, I don't think
Mhm.
anyone, especially me, like I don't think I would be here right now.
Mhm.
2 years ago, and it's pretty amazing. So yeah, the beta came out after like if you fast forward like 1 year after or something, the beta came out, and I didn't play the beta as much as other people did. Um, but Cloudfuel hosted, who's now part of Twitch, um, hosted his first tournament in Rocket League, I think, and it was this 3v3 tournament, and we were like, wait, 3v3? No one ever plays 3v3 because in SARP we all play like 2v2, and the tournament made us realize how much more uh, teamwork is required in 3v3 than it is in 2v2. Like it was completely different from SARP, and during that tournament I played with Mike Rules, Kronovi, and Gibbs. Novi, I played with in the alpha. I played a lot of twos with them in the alpha and the beta, because I believe we were like at the top during that time, 1 and 2. Uh, and then I slowly started playing less and less, because school, and I just didn't have too much time in my day. And eventually, the game came out, and the game was amazing. It would like ESL announced their weekly tournament, and we're like, "Oh my god, this is the biggest tournament ever!" And we were really pumped. Like, we were so excited for that. It was like what $75 tournament every week. We were so excited for that, and now we're playing for what 100 or $250,000 prize
Mhm.
pool. It's a huge difference.
Mhm.
Um, so we started doing the ESL weeklies, and we came up with the name Cosmic Aftershock because we chose the best car and then the best map uh, from SARP, and that was literally how we came up with our name. Pretty cheesy, I'd say. Um,
And who was on that
and
team for anybody who doesn't know?
Cosmic Aftershock was me, Gibbs, and Kronovi, and then we had Durkin as a sub. But then
Oh wow.
Psionics hired him, so we couldn't keep him on the team anymore.
Oh man,
I actually didn't know
I
he
that.
think
would have been the best
he still
player.
subbed for you guys like in some tournaments. I remember seeing that.
He did definitely. That was before he got his like official Psionics tag, you know,
Mm.
Oh, gotcha.
when he was just like a
So
fan ambassador.
that was the most successful team in North American Rocket League in the beginning, and most part, there were a couple of moments where other teams, came up and challenged you guys. But for I think overall, everybody would agree that was the most successful team while it existed. So with that in mind, just a couple of interesting thoughts I wanted to know from you is if that roster had stayed together, let's imagine that everybody in that team, Gibbs, Sad, and Kronovi, had stayed together and practiced nonstop, kept up to date with their mechanics, Gibbs, then would they actually be able to compete with your current top teams like NRG, Exodus, Genesis, and the like? What do you think? Um, how do you think they would do against those top teams? And how do you think they would do against like the lesser teams like G2?
I think to a certain degree, if we practice nonstop, because I know for a fact that Gibbs wouldn't be able to practice nonstop, uh,
Mm-hmm.
having a kid, and if we were able to practice nonstop, I think somewhere around top 5 would be a good point. Our team
Mm-hmm.
synergy was like dying slowly. It wasn't the best, and people like we had a very one-dimensional playstyle. It was 2-1, one back, two
Mm-hmm.
front, uh, barely any rotation,
Right.
and
So, sorry, go
it,
on.
it basically meant like the two of us, me and Kronovi, would attack as much as we can and have Gibbs stay in the back, as a wall, and just clear out whatever he can back to us rather than making his own plays. And then he'd come in sometimes for a third hit to score.
Mhm.
It was very one dimensional, and people started realizing how to beat it.
I think people also underestimate Gibbs even now. Actually, he's still pretty good at Rocket League.
He's good. He's fantastic.
A lot of people will say that he is the best positional player in the game. Still, like there's
I
something
don't know if
about
I go that far, but
like-
yeah, he's pretty.
like some people will say I don't think because he's definitely out of practice. He doesn't play at that high level anymore, like consistently.
I mean,
But,
he's
like,
really
Gibbs
like,
has been
still an
Gibbs has been
incredible
one of the
player.
players that has always been good at positioning. He's always in the right place, just not in the air because he's not
Except
good
when
enough to
he
get up that quick.
reverses into the goal. I'd have to say that that's just fundamentally flawed most of the time. But yeah, I'm not trying to say Gibbs is a bad positional player. He's
Right.
he's a smart player. He stayed at the top for a long time.
No,
not
he
just
confirmed in
because
chat he's trash. So turns out
Yeah.
Gibbs trash. You heard it here first from himself.
He's trash.
Yeah, Gibbs sucks, dude.
What a terrible
Gibbs
player.
actually used to put out videos. We were talking earlier about videos of beta and stuff. Gibbs used to put out videos as well.
Yeah.
I remember that was like I saw him playing against like Kernovi, and that's what got me into Rocket League. Just seeing people go nuts.
Hey, watching those big 1v1s from back when, and you'd see them play, you're like, how are they so good? I'll never be this good. Then you go back and watch it now, you're just like, they're garbage.
Yeah.
What happened? Everybody got really good. They like surpassed the original gods of the game. I mean, that's to be expected. It's much harder, much easier rather to get good at the game now than it used to be.
Especially with so many people like having figured out all the like strongest tactics or ways to
Yeah.
approach situations, and you can just be
There's
like
there's also so many resources like
Yeah.
streams.
so many, yeah, or streams, YouTube videos, guides on Reddit.
Yeah, and like
So-
talent breeds talent. So unless it takes getting your ass kicked by somebody to actually step up your game sometimes. That didn't happen in SARP, I've heard.
No,
Unless
not at
like,
all.
you caught the good player online. Like, what if you're the second best player in SARP? There's only one guy who you can learn from. You're just gonna demolish everybody else, and you need to like catch the one guy who's better than you online, make a private game, and play. Because there were no like hundreds of players playing ranked simultaneously.
Right now,
There was actually zero most of the time.
Yeah.
so now like you played obviously Cosmic Aftershock, all that kind of stuff. You then eventually for some reason played with Quinn. Why? Like, what were you thinking?
He came to me, I'll have you know.
Yeah, he did actually. So
What a downgrade.
the thing that
Fuck off.
We missed the Rizzo banter.
From the best team.
Hey, my question
Best
my question is to
team.
Quinn though. Like Quinn, did you drop him without knowing for Gambit or just Rizzo?
Oh my god, man. I swear, I'll have you fucking know that Rizzo actually, okay, he wouldn't admit it. He actually, I told him we want you as our fourth, like to have like a roster because I can't play all the games anyway because I was West Coast. And he was like, no. I want to like, I'm not down with this. And I was like, okay, you lost.
Rip Rizzo. He's
Anyway.
probably sleeping. He's not even here to defend himself. He's sleeping.
So,
Still sleeping.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
so
there was a question behind that.
yeah,
the
so I
train
mean,
of
playing
thought.
you got to play with Quinn and stuff like that. What was that like? I mean, obviously Quinn can kind of talk about it too. But
So
I mean, that transition to another team, what was that like?
a transition to another team was rather at first a bit difficult for me. I don't switch teams very often. I usually stick out with the team as long as I can. And that was the second team I've ever been on with Quinn. That was the second team I've ever been on at all. And I played with my first team I played for like 9 months or something. And it's
it
kind
was
of
with
hard to get.
Pluto as well was our third.
Yeah, Pluto was our third, and it was kind of hard for me to get used to other people's play styles and stuff because I was so used to the 2-1 style, and basically, we had our ups, but we were very inconsistent. Like we were really
Very.
inconsistent. Very
I
inconsistent.
happen to remember some replays of like me and Pluto in the back, and I'm like, Sad, where are you? And then I remember Flo messaging me during a scrim, like, Sad's in our goal right now. He's actually in the goal.
He had time to message you, and then you check it. Like, yeah, he still is in the goal. So what you're saying is that you guys had your ups, and Sad had his downs.
No. It was like, okay, Pluto was actually basically the Gibbs. And Sadjunior tried to, like, I'm also a more offensive player. And so me and Sad would, like, I know we would try, and we had a lot of combinations actually, like, pushing forward, but the whole team just wasn't on the same page, I felt like.
Yeah, we had different ideas, had to do things differently, and it didn't really mesh together well.
Well, I'd say that it could have worked, but the amount of effort it would have put into, like, fixing all the bad habits, it was, like, easier just to, like,
yeah, because we were also limited on time. You have to understand, we had
RLCS coming out.
we had 2 or 3 weeks before signups ended, and it wasn't a very long time, unfortunately.
Okay, so now you go from that, you start switching around some teams, and then you finally end up on Kings of Urban. What was it like? What was it like? Switching teams yet again, and I guess it was a very crucial point too. Like, RLCS was starting. Like, there was money, like real money on the line. Like, you guys, had a goal in mind. Like, we need to go to LAN, all that kind of stuff. Like, what was it like to transition again and then play with people who definitely have different play styles from what you're used to? I mean, Fireburner was probably different than what you're used to. I mean, yeah, you still had people like Pluto who had a defensive mentality, but it's always changed.
The change. Okay, so this was like, so there's 2 things that can happen when you first join the team with people you've never played with. One of the things is you guys don't mesh well, or you guys do different things or clash. The other thing is somehow you perfectly works. Like, if you look at yesterday's Canada versus US game, I didn't expect to play good with Squishy and Lash. I didn't expect winning 4-1 or crushing some of the games, but it happened. That's the second case where you guys just mesh really well and it works out for you. And fortunately, we were playing for like a while, because I used to hang out on their TeamSpeak. It used to be the old Cosmic Aftershock TeamSpeak, actually, that became the Kings of Urban one, and because Used Wolf had access to it, that's why. And basically, we found out that we meshed really well together. They weren't doing the best around their time. They were on decline for a while, for a couple weeks now. During that time, and we, like, according to them, we were playing like really good compared to their older roster for the last couple weeks, and we decided that we should team up. And at first, I didn't know what to do because we were really short on time, and I didn't. But my mentality was basically, if I do leave Genesis, I don't want to leave them empty-handed. Like, I want them to have a chance at RLCS.
We got our chance.
And they got their chance, I'll tell you.
And eventually they got further than you did.
Yes. Quinn still tells me that every day.
So you wake up to your alarm clock is just Quinn calling, be like, we got farther than land, click, and then that's all it is. Savage, dude.
No one will know. We got the same title. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, right.
Quinn knows.
I mean, I think everybody knows. Everybody saw you crash and burn and die.
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
Yeah,
we're getting
Bogan was just on my trail, dude. Couldn't stop him.
He was leading the attack, dude. He's unstoppable. You can't stop. You can't stop Bogan.
No, LAN is actually such a difficult environment, though. So, I do think that Katie's gonna go nuts this LAN.
No,
but we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, I want to know something, or your thoughts, Sad, on something that I heard Jacob say on stream today somebody mentioned something to Jacob, and he said, "Oh yeah, every team needs." I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but he said something to the effect of, "Every team needs a retard flying around, making things awkward for the other team." And then he realized, "Wait a minute, we've actually got two retards flying around." So was that like a conscious decision for you guys to play double retard, or did it just happen naturally?
You never want to go full retard, but 2/3 is pretty
Double-
close.
Well, I mean, Canada is kind of a full retard team if you ask most people. You wouldn't expect.
I had to dumb
anything but
down
full
my
retard.
my own retardness during
Yeah.
that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, two retards isn't a bad combination, apparently. Works pretty well when you have one normal guy on your team, such as Fireburner.
Mm-hmm.
What a
And
normie.
yeah,
Hmm.
I tell him that every day. Um,
He does do a pretty good job 1v3 defending. What do you think about Fire as a player and his playstyle? How does he do what he does for you
Fire's-
guys?
Fire's defending's really, really good. You won't see him okay. So you can compare him to Gibbs, as he won't like air roll like as much, or won't use the walls as much as other players do. But
Mhm.
Fire's goal line defending is some of the best I've seen.
Yeah, it's probably the best in NA at least.
Yeah, he's pretty crazy.
Uh,
Which
It's
is
up
which is weird. So like, and I'm actually curious to kind of keep going with that. So his defending is insane. We all know him as a defensive back front for you guys, but he's been scoring a lot of goals and moving up a lot as of late. He's been being that
Yeah.
second rotation for you guys. Is that something that you guys have talked about? And obviously, I don't want you guys to like ruin strategy or anything. Obviously, for the public or for yourselves.
No,
but-
no, no. Come on, just put it all on the line right here.
No, we've definitely talked about it before in scrims whenever we play. We usually change our play style depending on who we play, so we can counter them. So we play like a counter sort of play style, but we've generally drifted away from that slightly, to a point where me and Jacob just cause a lot of chaos on their side, and then just have Fire come in for a nice clear shot against maybe one defender or none. And we trust him that he can take the shot, and he's relatively good at shooting.
Mhm.
He's by far really good at shooting, so usually he's able to get those in, and that's basically how we play. We just cause chaos and have Fire just come clean up with a nice broomstick.
What about the last part of your team? We briefly mentioned him, Jacob, widely considered by many to be one of the best threes players in NA. What do you think it is that makes him stand out from other players in North America and the world?
His redirects, for sure. His redirects and just the overall pressure he causes to the enemy team. He's able to take out two, maybe sometimes even three players simultaneously without any effort, and
Mhm.
just make it easier for us to play. And he's a complete retard. So I mean,
Yeah.
You saw him in
there's a
chat. You
saying-
just had to throw that in, right?
I mean, if we don't know what he's doing, how can the enemy team know what he's doing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Next level mind games. I like it.
So it works in our favor. He's a really good player.
Mhm.
Definitely top 3 for sure.
Okay. Well, going into it now, so the main topic that we're kind of at hand is we kind of got a history where you're coming, how you feel about teammates and all that kind of stuff, but we want to talk more so about the mentality of online play versus LAN. So a lot of people talk to you guys and mention that how you guys are the onliners per se, because there's the LAN boys and then the onliners. You guys have always been phenomenal when it comes to online tournaments. Why do you think that is, and what's the difference when you're comparing it to a LAN environment for you personally?
So, okay, LAN was kind of weird for us. Not in a sense that we were scared to play on stage. We weren't nervous whatsoever, I believe. We've experienced similar things before. And it honestly came down to, so we have an issue basically. And like
What's that
if you look at our history in the past 2 or 3 months, we've dropped like one game randomly within those times and at certain time frames. Those random games are usually led by 2 weeks or 1 week of not playing at all with each other and not doing any scrims. We're a team that needs to constantly like practice to stay on top of our game. And during LAN, I don't feel like we got enough practice. The only scrims we got were against Northern Gaming for Northern Gaming and Mocket for a day before the LAN, and we beat both of the teams
You guys
by a lot.
smashed them in gaming. I
We,
remember
we
I
yeah
got you guys on the stage right after that.
it
Smashed
was
them.
score was around 6-1 in games
Mhm.
for us, and against Mocket, I think we went like 2-1 maybe, or it was like 2-2. I don't remember. We didn't get much time with Mocket because the computers were having issues. And during LAN day, we didn't get to scrim anyone at all, I believe. The only practice we got was 1v2ing each other, and I think that's the main thing that screwed us over because it completely changed our play styles when we went on stage. We were trying to 1v2 each other, and we all just started playing way too offensively on stage and just gave the enemy team too much room when it came down to it, and we just got countered over and over.
So now, well, like, is that something that you guys? I mean, I think. Do you think it's easier to recognize that happening online compared to LAN, or do you think it's about the same? Do you think it's? I mean, is there different factors
Yeah,
that go into it?
it takes a couple games to adjust to it. You start slowly realizing it as you go through the series. But even if you do realize it, it takes some time to actually put into effect. And by the time we realized it, we were on like I think it was like the final game, and there's one like I don't know if it was the final game, I don't remember, but there was just one unlucky goal, and it really at that point we were like really down by a lot, and we're not a team that when we're down we just play worse and worse. Where we start playing better when we're down, and when we lose games we start playing better as well. Um, it didn't work out that this time though. Our play style or like a whole team just didn't play as good as we usually do on stage, and it really cost us the whole series for the first game. And then by the time we got to losers against Flipside, we didn't expect to play Flipside, by the
Yeah,
way.
you go flip side and losers.
Yeah,
Uh,
Flipside kind of upset a lot of teams by making it into losers.
yeah,
Everyone was
we
expecting I by Power, right? Now
yeah
G2.
we were expecting IBET Power to make it in, and we've never lost to their current roster. Um, and we were pretty confident that if they made it into losers, like we were pumped up. We were like, yeah, we're gonna beat them, and then we're gonna get through losers, and then we'll still have a chance. Unfortunately, we went against Flipside. We don't have the worst matchup against Flipside, but in our current mentality and their current mentality, it was a tough matchup. Um, Again, we didn't have much practice. We didn't have any practice between those two games. Like neither team wanted to scrim, and then the other the PCs were being used by the teams that were about to play.
And flip side,
So
well, Cuxer just went off, right? He was insane that
yes,
series.
yes.
Every
So
shot top corner, like
Yeah.
100 kph. It was nuts.
so
What do you
Like
do?
he was doing stuff like he would go up backwards on the wall, dribble it
Yeah.
off, carry it downfield, and then make this stupid pass. Like how?
Oh, Cuxer.
It's not okay. That's
It's
not
brutal.
human.
So when the series first started, we were doing pretty well. The games were close
Mhm.
until we got to that urban game. And that urban game, I don't know what Cuxter was on, but he activated some aimbot or something and scored literally 5 goals within a minute. 5 goals within a minute, and they were all
I remember that.
Yeah, that's
insane
nuts.
shots, insane
Yeah.
shots. And we're like so confused. How is he shooting so good? How is he getting all of these in? Literally,
Mhm.
he won them that series, I believe.
You would have seen
single-handedly won
Marky
this.
after that series, and he was just like, "I got carried, man.
Yeah.
I got so, like I talked to Marky. He's like, I got so carried. Cuxer 1v5. Unbelievable performance."
Like it's insane. And we talk about like there is definitely a mentality, and there's certain key moments that happen in most online esports events and in LANs. Like if you go back to most major LAN events, whether it be in other esports or even in Rocket League. I think the moment we all think about is when iBuyPower won that fourth game in overtime against Flipside. As soon as that happened, that there was something that you could tell, like, these guys were not going to lose. They weren't going to have it. And I think that was the same moment. As soon as you saw Cookser score those 5 goals and stuff, it's like, these guys are going to make it to the finals. Nothing is going to stop in their way. So do you guys get those kind of moments online? Do you get those, like, you're sitting at home, you're, you know, in comms with your teammates and are like, we're taking this. Like, there's nothing that's going to stop us. Do you guys get that kind of, like, confidence and that adrenaline?
Yeah, whenever we're about to, like, whenever we get a win, whenever we've known we figured out how to beat the opponents, we always try to hype each other up, because we know once we know the other team's play style and how we can play around it, we can definitely outplay them and out-rotate them in any way possible.
So
and-
what ways do you think that, or I should say, is there ways that you think you can prepare to do that better in a LAN environment? Because obviously it's harder to do when you're playing live. What things do you think should be implemented, or things you would like implemented to make it easier to make those adaptations?
I think
Adaptations.
having 24 hours or like I think they have like they're gonna have PCs available in 24 hours, and I think that's perfect, because I think the main thing we were missing, or I believe the main thing we were missing, was just having constant practice during LAN.
So you
Aside
wouldn't say
from
you were
just
like
one game.
nervous, or nerves came into
No,
factor very
not
much?
at all. We rarely ever get nervous.
Hmm.
Rarely ever. We're confident in how we play, and whenever we know we can win, we just go straight for the win. I don't think we're ever in doubt if we're gonna lose. The only time we're in doubt is when we don't practice.
Hmm.
That's basically because we know we're not playing good.
Okay.
That's interesting to hear. So you talk about the difference between LAN and online mentalities and stuff. Those kind of mentalities carry through when you're building chemistry with the team. Do you think, okay, sticking together, so you guys have been now together as KOU, now Energy, for quite a while. Were there any thoughts about ever looking for a different team or changing up the roster?
No, not at all, actually. We the LAN loss didn't hurt us whatsoever. It just gave us more motivation for next time, because we knew that we just had to put in enough hours into the game, into scrims. And the first thing we did when we got back was scrim, and I think we won almost, what was it, four royales in a row after LAN or something like that. So we were confident that there were just unfortunate circumstances that hindered us slightly, but we knew that if we worked hard, we could come back for our LCS season 2 and surely take it.
And speaking of which, Amsterdam, what are you going to do differently? Like, obviously, the logistical things, like will computers be available and how, you know, much time you're going to get to practice, isn't entirely in your hands. But what are you guys going to do to prevent a repeat first round exit from losers bracket? Assuming you actually make it to LAN, which most of us think you will.
We're definitely gonna try to scrim as much as we can. On top of that, I think we
Come
we don't
party up at
really
my place.
we don't really look
Not be in
at
my room till
replays.
4:30 in the morning.
We don't really look at replays together as a group, but we do look at them individually to figure out what each of us are doing wrong, or how we can improve.
I know you watch
I know,
me watching your replays or your
Yeah.
live games sometimes. It's
Yeah.
cheeky.
That as well. So I think the LAN opportunity will give us, well, the LAN will give us an opportunity to look at replays together in one environment, and it'll help us just look at how other teams play and how we can counter that. Obviously, our RLCS has a huge VOD list where we can use their resources, basically.
So you think you're
Lastly,
gonna?
on the, oh, sorry, the more of a logistical thing. I can say from flying east to west to California to go to the LAN, and then flying west to east to go back. West to east is way worse. Like, I was like, oh, no problem, I'll just sleep on the plane. Haha, yeah, right, sleep on the plane. So I've said it before in this show, and I'll say it again. Getting out there early to Amsterdam, although it might, cut a little bit of practice time that you could have had online if you stayed to the last minute and then flew out right before. But I think getting out there early could be a big difference. I don't want to see any teams getting like super jet lagged, because I know I was like sick for almost a week when I came back from California just because I didn't get sleep for most of 40 hours.
Hmm.
I don't know
I
if you
mean,
guys thought much about that, but I'm sure that you could get out there early. You'd have to probably pay a little bit more on the expenditure side for food and travel out, or accommodation outside of the like block that you're gonna get for free at the players' hotel. That's maybe something to consider.
so we've, I believe we've considered that. We haven't decided on anything
Mhm.
yet, but we were also thinking about boot camping for a while.
Mhm.
So we would get the like the
Shaq's
feel of
house.
all three of us there.
Mhm.
Sure.
Gaming house? Gaming house?
Uh, well,
Is Jacob not still at school?
we're actually all at school,
Yeah, I
so
thought you were at school. I didn't know about you. Fire. School is.
we'd have to be taking off like a week from a school
Mhm.
to be able to do any of that. So it's it really depends on all of our schedules and what we can manage. But it's
Mhm.
definitely been in our thoughts.
Okay. I guess the big one that a lot of us have been kind of hinting at, and we're all curious about, energy acquisition. How does it feel? What's it like? Take us through it if you can. Give us details. Uh, have you met Shaq, and when will you get to all that kind of stuff? Hit us with it.
We
And are
haven't
they
met.
paying you in basketballs?
Signed Shaquille O'Neal basketballs.
All the
haven't-
merch.
It's probably more salary than whatever else they could get. That'd be awesome.
We haven't met Shaq yet. We were given the opportunity to come to TwitchCon actually, um, to hang around and meet Shaq and everyone, but we had to decline because we had RLCS during that week or that
Mhm.
weekend at least, and we didn't want to change our setup or like it was an online thing, so
Yeah.
we had to make sure that we're comfortable where we playing
So
because
not make the mistake G2 did.
Well, the G2, they're the offliners though, so that could have worked in their favor.
Yeah, but
But
it
for
didn't.
NRG, they're onliners through and
yeah
through. That would have been a
Through
disaster.
and through.
TwitchCon would have been TwitchCon would have been 0-3.
we were in TeamSpeak with what's it called, Exodus, and we were joking about how they're basically at LAN. Watch out.
Yeah. And then they got absolutely smashed anyway, so rip. Luckily,
Yeah,
they won one game that
I feel,
weekend.
I feel like it wasn't the best decision because I'm pretty sure they were in West Coast as well, so their ping was also increased.
Right, yeah.
It wasn't the best decision, especially because Overzero moved to East Coast to get better ping and be in the same house with Kronovi to have a better synergy or better practice time or
It's so
whatever.
they can help each other outside of the game. Stuff that they wouldn't be able to do if they weren't literally in the same place
Yeah, when they need
with
an extra hand.
accessible bedrooms, yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah. So I feel like it was definitely a mistake on their part for going to TwitchCon because they already had their hands full with moving and everything. They didn't have much practice time. Luckily, they only had one game during that week. If they had two, their chances for making playoffs would be pretty low. But definitely that having one game during that week saved them a lot. Um, because well, in most cases, like 90% of people would say Exodus was going to win that regardless.
Yeah. Mhm.
And Exodus was doing amazing for the past couple weeks, so they looked incredibly strong.
They're undefeated, right? They've
Yeah, they're
only had 3
currently
games, but they're
It's
3-0.
them and
3-0.
Genesis are the two, and they battle out this
Well,
weekend.
Genesis lost a
Genesis
series.
is-
They're
yeah,
3-1. They've got the same wins, but Genesis have lost a game
Yeah.
or a series.
It'll give us
to,
like a clear number one.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But this weekend, you're actually playing against G2. We've talked about them a little bit. What do you think your chances are going into that series? You said that they're looking to rebound from their 0-3 and maybe scrape into LAN, but you're going to look to knock them down another peg, I imagine.
Definitely,
even more.
we're our goal isn't to make top 6. Our goal is to get top 2 and then
Yeah.
eventually have 1. We're never looking at just to like scrape by and make it through. We're always looking
Yeah.
to reach as high as we can, whenever we can, and we plan to take both the games this week.
That's a good plan, actually, if you're looking to get rank 1.
Yeah,
I
we
can see how
plan
that
to
would
take-
work.
We plan to take both games this week. We haven't played Revival too much, but we've played their player and we've played a similar roster to theirs multiple times, and we're familiar with how they play.
Mhm.
And that's the first game of the day, so I feel like that one will be harder than the G2 matchup because we'll have a
Really?
game
Okay.
experience, or we'll have a game warm up before the match, which is a big factor as well, I believe. Because if you come fresh off of a win, you're really pumped up and you feel like you can take anyone out basically. And I feel like if we win the first series, we're guaranteed to win the second series. We're guaranteed to win the second series if we win the first series because we play much better when we're hyped up.
Mhm.
And if we have the hype of winning the first game and being closer to our goal, we'll definitely win the second series against G2.
Awesome to
All
hear.
right.
Yeah,
With that being said-
we're gonna start kind of wrapping these things up. For those that are still kind of unaware of what's going on, Sadjunior is on the line talking about mentality of online versus LAN, as well as kind of thoughts about getting signed for energy and all this other kind of stuff. But Quinn and Johnny are gonna ask a couple questions to end it off, Sad, and then we're gonna cut you. Okay.
Alright.
All right. Go ahead, Quinn.
You're getting benched, man. No, but who do you think from NA?
Not just like you.
Still
Who do I think?
LAN boy. Who do you think's gonna make it to LAN?
Who do I think is gonna make it to LAN? At this point, I think it's gonna be Exodus, us, Genesis for sure. All those 3 for sure.
Mhm.
And then the 4th spot's kind of open actually, for any team in the top 6.
Yeah, Rip Selfless.
Yeah, Rip Selfless.
What do you think of G2's chances if they can make top 6? Because they have, they won the mid-season mayhem. It wasn't standard Rocket League, but they were undefeated in bracket. They tend to do better in bracket than in league play recently. Do you think that would help their cause?
Yeah, but then they still have league play for the next 2 weeks, and they
This
need
is
to
true.
win. They need to win 3 out of 4 games to guarantee a spot, and they still have yet to play 2 of the top 3 teams right now.
All right. And how about EU? Have you been following the European league at all? Have you got any predictions of who you're gonna meet in Amsterdam?
I followed a bit of EU. It's still the same. I believe it's gonna be what's it called?
Flip side.
Flip side, Northern Gaming, Market, and then the 4th spot's kind of open right now.
Similar, yeah.
If you
Like
think
Ace and Fourth.
if you have to play Market again at LAN, is it gonna go the same way?
Yeah, who's getting knocked out first?
If we have to play Market at LAN, I believe we can take it. Their current roster isn't the best compared to their previous roster, in my
Really?
opinion.
Really?
Well,
Previous roster was pretty easy peasy, if you ask me.
their previous roster was pretty easy. Well, it wasn't. Well, it wasn't the best, but at the peak, at its peak, the previous roster was relatively strong. And
Well, there was a reason they were one of the big 3, touted as the big 3 going in.
Yeah.
like Market, Northern Gaming, and Flipside were the favorites, and then perhaps Kings of Urban as fourth favorite. But Market just collapsed. They were having a bit of internal issues, as seen by the absolute dismantle of the roster right after LAN. So right now it's Pashi, Devo, and Violent Panda. And Devo, I know myself, and I heard a lot of other people giving him their award for week one group stage MVP. I think he was MVP of week one. Week
Yeah,
two,
he's
he was a
been-
little bit more quiet, but he's definitely
playing.
playing very well. He's one of
Yeah,
the best players in the world right now.
I haven't seen too much of Devo other than
He's been
2v2,
absolutely
I think.
incredible.
And the only time I played him in 2v2 was, I think, the Pulsar. Or not Pulsar, sorry.
PRL.
PRL.
Yeah.
And we did pretty good. We beat them, I believe, 2-0, or was it 2-1? I don't remember. But you can't use 2v2 as a justification. But I haven't seen too much of him in 3v3. I don't keep track of Market as much as the other two, because my main concerns are only Flipside and Northern Gaming at the moment, and whoever we'd have to face according to the ranks at the end of the qualifiers. And yeah, I just don't think Market's as big of a threat as Flipside or Northern Gaming is.
They're way more likely to tilt, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, they're
way more likely to tilt. I mean, Pashi had the worst goals per game and the lowest goals overall at LAN last time. So clearly not a LAN boy, although albeit
Out of everybody,
only,
out of the whole tournament?
out of everybody. He played 8 games. They got 3-0 by Exodus, then they lost 3-2 to Genesis. So they played 8 games,
Yeah, I
and he
remember
had
that one.
2 goals, which is 0.5 goals per game. It was the worst stats out of anybody at the LAN on the offensive front. And I think Turbo is the only player who showed up on that team. Siki was again pretty bad for them as well.
You also have to take into account that both Devo and Violent Panda haven't played in at LAN for the first.
I mean, there was definitely an even playing field for everybody there, even though there are some people with that experience. But they may also.
Violent Panda is Dutch. He's going to be on the home turf if he makes it.
Yeah, they're gonna have. That's something that's gonna be new for all these NA guys. There's gonna be home field advantage for everybody new, like you guys had the first time, and the nerves. I mean, I don't know if you guys have actually looked at the venue, but it's a whole new level of insanity.
Yeah, I've looked at the venue. It's pretty big, but
180-degree views. Oh my goose.
Usually when I'm playing, I'm able to everything's blocked out. The only thing I see is the screen, and the only thing in my mind is what I have to do to win, basically. Nothing else matters. I don't notice anything else. It's all there is to it.
Okay.
We'll see about that. We're going to bring some distractions. We're going to bring the foam hats just as a throwback.
Vuvuzelas. I'm literally blow a Vuvuzela in your face the entire time you play.
My cousin was there, and he was in the front row on my side, and he was waving at me, and I didn't notice whatsoever until he told me afterwards.
Feels
and I'm
bad,
I didn't even see you.
That's my cousin. Why doesn't he acknowledge you? God, poor guy.
So yeah, I don't really notice the crowd as much. It's just I think another factor was the headphones. They made us bring in-ears, which we never used, because we thought we were gonna. They were gonna
totally threw you off, right?
The
fact that you didn't have to use headphones or earbuds.
The fact was the headphones they gave us were it was very open, as in there was barely any noise canceling. I don't know which headphones they were, but
I think that they did a pretty good job. They had white noise even playing through it.
They had white noise playing through it, but the fact was you could hear that it wasn't the
announcers and everything.
It wasn't the crowd that you could hear. It was the announcers and the person they were watching.
You could.
And you're listening to that terrible casting, and you're just like, oh my goodness. Who is this guy?
But you're
I'm that guy. I'm that guy.
Dude, what do you mean not just the casting?
Okay. A big factor was that when they were spectating a player from player view, you could hear their car and the cars around them. So it would be on the same noise level as what you would be hearing, and it would be like it would be confusing for you to tell which one's actually like according to
The
you.
Batmobiles were so loud when it zoomed in
Yeah,
on a
Batmobile.
Batmobile doing an aerial. It was so loud.
One thing I wish about that land that was different, though, honestly, was I wish they got more of the crowd. Really, the
Oh,
crowd was actually so
Crowd
loud.
was insanely good. It was
and
just like it
when-
wasn't even a massive crowd, but they were going nuts for
Mhm.
every goal, and that
Crowd
really
were-
didn't come across in the stream at all.
Yeah, the stream made
Really
it seem like
didn't
there
come
was
across
no
the stream.
crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did change that a little bit between day 1 and day 2. Like they took that feedback from us and we're like, yeah, more crowd noise needs to be put in through the stream, and it got a little bit better.
Oh, I need to like up it
Yeah,
to a
and
whole other level. They
yeah,
need to give
that's
it.
for
make it
every
good
LAN.
They
Every
need
LAN
to
can
be
learn
sort of
better.
loud enough that the casters can literally just stop talking after a goal goes in, and the crowd's cheering is enough hype
Yeah,
to
yeah.
you know to make it cool. Because that's what it was like in the venue. Like I was in the crowd and I couldn't hear the casters when a good goal got scored. 'Cause the crowd was so loud. You actually couldn't hear anything but the crowd. That
Yeah,
was
I-
that was
Like
awesome.
those speakers were loud. I know, Johnny Quinn both can attest. Sad you as well. Those speakers were damn loud, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the crowd was loud. I couldn't hear myself talk sometimes. Like after like when we started getting down to like the like wire of games coming out, and like you heard those big goals anytime. And I know you guys, your fan base is definitely growing more and more. There's so many foam hats that are still going to be worn because of Jacob, but like I by Power and Flips, I definitely have the largest fan bases at that first LAN. And I say that'll probably still continue if G2 does make it. But there were times when the crowd went off where you could not hear anything but the crowd. It was so loud.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we definitely got to experience that after the games when we were watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you got knocked out, big face.
Yeah,
Shade, dude. So much shade over there. How is there any shade in that room when you're just sitting in the darkness, man?
Oh man.
Surrounded by that shade. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, you could definitely the crowd was amazing. Crowd was really something to show off, and I don't feel like the stream did that enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we get to have you experience that yet again in Amsterdam coming up first weekend of December 3rd. Going to be really, really exciting. But thank you again, Sadjunior, for coming on. That's the thing, week 16, talking about your history as a player as well as online versus LAN mentalities. But that is going to do it for the audio portion of the podcast. We're going to